Hey gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. This interview with David Cochrane from the CBC with Melissa Lantsman, it starts off pretty smooth. David's not too confrontational, but in the second half of this, he lets loose, like pushing a liberal agenda, just being a big cheerleader for these grits that are grinding our gears. Melissa Lantsman's going to straighten him out here at the end. Let's take a peek.
Oh, yeah.
So Andrew Scheer laid questions for his party today as the official opposition leader, a position he'll hold until Pierre Poilievre regains a seat in the House of Commons. The deputy leader of the Conservative Party, Melissa Lantsman, joins me in the studio now. Melissa Lantsman, it's good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
See ya.
Let's start with this. I mean, Pierre Poilievre has been the dominant player in Parliament for about 2 years, and obviously with his defeat in Carleton, he can't be there for a while. I mean, what was it like for your caucus to go in there without your leader today?
Yeah, look, I think we have a great parliamentary team, but obviously it's a setback, and I know, and I think Canadians know how much Pierre loves question period, a dominant force certainly in question period.
Indeed.
And I think he'll get the chance to earn the trust of the voters in Alberta, and we'll have him back in September. So we've got probably about 3 weeks or whatever, 4 weeks of the House without him, and a team that has to pinch at the Conservative team is, there's a guy who wears a C on his shirt, and then there's a whole lot of position players that play other positions, and I think Andrew's going to do a job. Our new MPs all had a chance to ask a question, or many of them had a chance to ask a question today, and some of them were quite good.
Well, we saw Mr. Poilievre, though, outside holding a news conference or in the foyer before. Is this going to be the practice? Like, is that how you're going to do this going forward, or what can we expect to see from your side?
Well, look, it would be nice if we saw Pierre in the House, and again, I suspect he'll return in September once earning that trust, and we'll continue to fight for Canadians and to put our priorities forward. The priorities of lowering the cost of living, cutting taxes, making sure that people can deal with inflation, building homes, fixing the crime epidemic in our country. Looking at the immigration system that is out of control and has lost a generational consensus in this country. That was very clear throughout, I think, question period today, throughout, Pierre's press conferences up till now, and I think you'll see a lot of them.
Is it your sense, though, that his leadership is completely secure at this point? I mean, when you lose an election and lose your seat, in normal times, that's the end of it, right? But obviously these are kind of not normal times. What is your sense of just the security and stability of his leadership?
Well, they're not normal times in the sense that, our party now, we've done something very different in the electorate. We've attracted voters who have never voted for us before, and voters who have never voted, period, before.
Sure.
We increased that seat count. If you were to tell anybody that at 41% of the vote that you wouldn't be sitting in government, we'd think you're pretty crazy to suggest something like that. So I think he's made incredible strides in terms of building a coalition of workers, a coalition of young people, of those who belong to unions, and I think he's got a lot to be proud of, and I think our caucus is pretty proud of him for doing it.
So he's not in Parliament, but he was laying out today how you're going to vote on a number of things going forward. There is a middle-class tax cut on the order paper. There is a cut for GST for some housing, not all housing, on the order paper. These are in line with the measures you ran on, not as big as the measures you ran on, but your party is going to support them anyway. Yeah,
look, it's better than nothing is sort of the mantra. We're always going to support policies that make the lives of Canadians better, and we're going to push the government to be even better on that. Look, we want to see a tax cut that is bigger and more noticeable for families, so that they can deal with the costs. So if you're looking at $70, $80 a month, that doesn't go a long way when you've got a $5,000 mortgage to pay. On the GST measures, we want to see that extended beyond first-time home buyers. We want to see it on houses under $1.3 million, so it gets some of those markets where housing prices have gone out of control.
The GTA, Oakville, that area.
Well, look, the problems that were there in December and February and March and throughout the election don't disappear families, workers, everybody in Canada is still struggling and having a hard time. So we're going to make sure that we're going to make sure that we press on the government with our own priorities. And look, some of these ideas are our ideas, and we encourage them to, if they're going to take our ideas, at least go all the way.
Well, you're going to press them on it, and there's been some talk of like trying to get amendments to these things.
That's
I
right.
mean, how far do you go on that in a legislative sense? So are we talking filibuster? Are we talking that sort of stuff? Or is it propose it, make your case?
Well, look, we're not going to
to
stand in the way of things getting better for Canadians. We know we've been leading on that conversation for months and arguably years. The cost of living got on the government's radar because of Pierre Poilievre and his leadership. But we want to see things like the industrial carbon tax gone, Bill C-69 gone, the tanker ban gone, just so we can actually start to build our economy, attract investments, stand on our own 2 feet. Those are priorities that we've made clear over the last number of years, and they're the priorities that we will continue to fight for on behalf of the over 8 million Canadians that sent us there to do it.
It seems pretty clear this government is not going to repeal C-69. It's not going to get rid of industrial carbon pricing because it was elected on actually using industrial carbon pricing to make up for the gap it created when it got rid of the consumer carbon price or set it to zero, right?
I think we've got to be very honest. If we're going to build projects, there are things that are in the way. C-69 is one of those things that's in the way. A tanker ban is one of those things that's in the way, and it's going to be very, very hard to convince investors and those who are doing the building in this country to say that they're going to invest in Canada with those things still in place. So the government's got to figure it out. If it wants to, you can say these big things. You can say things like we're going to have transformational change in the economy, but if you don't have specifics and you don't have a plan and you don't have a signal to the market to actually get these things done, well, they're not going to get done.
Well, there's a signal like that coming maybe Monday in Saskatoon, right? Because it seems as though, from talking to premiers and speaking to the Prime Minister yesterday, we're going to see at least a first list of projects that they're going to fast track for approval to get moving. I mean, part of it has been the regulatory process has been too slow, but now there seems to be at least an agreement to move fast on some things.
I think for somebody who right out of the gate said that they were, the guy with the plan, or a plan is better than no plan, and the guy who can manage the economy, like not moving quickly and out of the gate and putting some meat on the bones when you had the opportunity. You had the opportunity with King of Canada here to actually signal specifics around a plan. You've been in Parliament now for answering a couple of questions at least at the beginning of the day. There's nothing more than the big slogan. So I think Canadians are waiting, and certainly the opposition is waiting for some meat on those bones.
No, look, I get the impatience, but it's only been a month since the election.
Well,
right?
it's been a month, and it was very easy for him to take in that prime minister job. He was making decisions while he was there. The front bench that he's got there have been there for the better part of 10 years. When I look across the aisle, it feels sort of same,
there's no question.
Not that different.
But if you as Prime Minister try to act on these things without having the premiers fully on board, you're setting up another set of problems, right? So,
well, look, if you waited,
if Monday he's got alignment on projects with, say, Western premiers, isn't that better?
I think you're asking, like, if you're waiting. This is a guy who told you that there's a big crisis, that we are in a big crisis. He went to the electorate with that, beating that drum every single day. Now, if you're going to wait for stability to, let's say, put a budget forward, I don't think you'll ever get a budget in this country. So look, we want to see some specifics around there. We'll put amendments forward, and we'll always do what's in the best interest of our own priorities for Canadians.
Well, on projects, I don't know if he's waiting for stability or just till Monday. You know what I mean? Like that.
Well,
that would be like 35 days, right?
We'll see when we're on your show on Monday.
Okay, well, when we get some clarity, we'll call you back. Melissa Lantsman, Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party. Good to have you here. Thanks
so much
for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
David Cochrane held back there for a long time, but in the second half of this interview, you can see that he is just a Liberal cheerleader, not a journalist representing the CBC as a media outlet, when they're really just a paid-for propaganda machine of the federal government. What are you going to do? Be aware. That's what I would suggest we watch these interviews, not because they're enjoyable, but to see, like, they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes using the CBC to do so. What are you going to do? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Let me know in the comments what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Come and join us for one of the live shows. We're out for now. Thank you for watching the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.